welcome to Japan. Thank you for joining us. It's a very truly pleasure to have you with us.
Thank you very much, my beloved sister Tamami. What's so exciting about being here in Japan at this time is to still feel, experience,
Yes.
and sense that true parents are with us right here in Japan. And when I first came into this movement that we call the Holy Spirit Association for the Unification of World Christianity, or the Family Federation for World Peace and Unification, or just simply the Unification Church, I remember true parents talking about the interconnectedness, or even more so, the relationship between Korea as the fatherland,
Yes.
Japan as the motherland, and my native country, America, as the elder son nation. And so I've always had an affection for Japan because of its motherly character, and ultimately being matched to a Japanese, and we being blessed by true parents in New York City at the Hilton Hotel in May of 2001. And we subsequently, Sayomi Kamimoto and I subsequently having two sons, has endeared me to Japan. And I will always have a profound love for this country and for its people.
I see. So the Japan is family for you.
It's family. Oh, no question about it. It may be a small country, but it is strong
Yes, yes.
and mighty and consists of a people who love God as Heavenly Parent, who love true parents, and who have committed and dedicated and devoted themselves to this providential work for over 70 years. And it is so painful to witness what is currently going on in this country when it comes to religious freedom. And my heart bleeds, as it were, for a country that deserves so much more than it is receiving right now.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
You've been engaged in promoting unity among, as you say, the different faiths for many years, and especially through your work with the ACAC from
Right.
2001.
Yes.
And also you've also contributed to peace efforts alongside Reverend Seo Myung-moon and Ha-Cha-han. So I'd love to ask, what first moved you to getting involved in this work, and what has sustained your commitment for decades?
Well, first of all, without any question or doubt in my mind, I have never, ever in life met two persons who are completely, totally, and absolutely committed to the will of God, to doing the providential work of God. And there has been a consistency in the providential work of true parents, built on the foundation of loving one another, which is very scriptural, what Jesus said, what God even said, the golden rule, do unto others you would have them do unto you, that we have seen that true parents have never veered away from the path, allowing their energies, their resources, their brilliance to be used for the sake of others. What really drew me to the movement some 25 years ago was this sense that it wasn't just about the unification movement. It just was not simply about true parents. It was not just about building up their movement or in any way trying to say to others that ours is the best religion. None of that. I have always witnessed in the lives of true parents a life of dedication, of service, of commitment, of just generosity in their entire lives. They not only, in the English language, we have an expression that says, true parents not only talked the talk, but they also walked the walk.
Yeah.
That their lives, when you look at other church leaders and how they're focused on themselves, on building their own institutions. When you look at the work of religious leaders who are saying, well, what can I get out of this? You see just the opposite with true parents. They are really the true parents of heaven, earth, and humankind. That is just not a nice, neat saying. That's just not just an expression or a montage or mantra, whatever you want to call it. They are genuine. They are sincere. I have never seen a crack in the armor, if you would say it that way. They have always, without exception, said God anointed us, God appointed us, and God has approved us for this great work. I used to always say to true parents when I was in New York at East Garden, I said to them one time, I said, true parents, you have received the triple A rating. There's a auto service company that prides itself in saying the triple A. I mean, that is not what the company says, but I took the AAA, the triple A rating that this car company would give to its clients. And I said, we have a new meaning and a new understanding of triple A with true parents because they are anointed, appointed, and approved for such a time as this. And it has remained consistent. So when I saw true parents, I was introduced to the unification movement a few years prior to the We Will Stand tour through a couple of members of the Unification Church who had come to my church to greet me. But the point is, when the We Will Stand tour was announced, I was asked by Dr. Michael Jenkins and Dr. Chun-Shik Young. Dr. Chun-Shik Young was the continental director at the time. And they said, we would like for you to get involved in the We Will Stand tour. And I said, I have nothing to lose. I know a few things about the unification movement, but not a lot. I've heard about some of the controversial things about it. So I want to explore it for myself. And the more I explored, the more I became convinced that I have found the type of ministry that was just not exclusively based on itself, but on a broader sense of religion, of church, of the love of God. And that's what drew me.
Very impressive.
Thank you.
Was there any experience you have, like challenges or persecution from?
Of course. First of all, I must admit that from the very first time that I laid eyes on true parents and came to really know them and see their heart, and having a privilege of being invited to East Garden to sit at the table with true parents, to have breakfast with them, or whatever, that I came to realize that I had an opportunity to know true parents in a way that most of the members had not come to know true parents. And to be honest with you, Tamami, I felt a little guilty, a little unworthy, because, here I am in the company of true parents at the table with them, say, for example, for breakfast. And there's so many members who have not even had the opportunity to meet true parents in person. And I became like a true son. There was no question in my mind that true parents received me as one of their own. True Father and I had one of the most incredible relationships on a spiritual level than you could ever imagine. We joked, we laughed with one another. My last name is Stallings, Stallings. But Father never said Stallings. He would always say Stalin, like Joseph Stalin, the communist leader in Russia. And there would be times he says, are you Stallings or are you Stalin? And I can see him right now, as if right there alive in his presence. And we would all joke and we would laugh, and the other Christian clergy who understood the joke would laugh too. And that helped to draw us together. True mother, a lot of times would just sit there and listen. She had a little smile. But Father and I were the ones who engaged in back and forth banter about what was my real name. He says, are you going to be are you going to restore Stalin, the bad leader? Are you going to present a different image to the world? And I said, of course, true Father, I'm going to change that. With your guidance and direction, I'm going to follow you, and I know I will succeed. So that's what happened. So, but then, and as a result of that, because of my own prominence and having founded an independent African-centered Catholic church known as Imani, I-M-A-N-I, which means faith in Swahili, and an independent Catholic church that was African-centered, no longer under Rome. Eventually I became the patriarch, or the fatherly figure of our movement, the archbishop and the senior global pastor. People saying, George Stallings, what are you doing following that man? He's the leader of a cult. Can't you imagine? Why are you soiling your hands in an involvement with someone who is of questionable reputation, or someone who is misleading or misguiding people? And I would say to them, you do not understand this man. You cannot criticize him. Come and see, come and see. So yes, not only I, but other ministers suffered persecution. And a lot of it was related to the teachings from the divine principle. How can you believe that? How can you believe what he's teaching? How can you believe that this man is the Messiah? How can you believe that he's the coming of Christ, the second coming of Christ? That's against what we believe, what we embrace, what we have come to believe for 2,000 years. You can't follow this man. He's going to mislead you and misguide you. And I kept saying to them, come and see. You know, I'm a theologian. I know the Bible. I know theology. And yes, some of his teachings are controversial. But if you study them and if you pray, you will come to discover that true parents are revealing to us a deeper meaning of the scriptures of the Bible that will make us better Christians and more faithful to our calling. So the reality, the controversy that I faced tested me, challenged me, but at the same time made me a better person. And one thing that I can say from the time I met true parents until now is that they never lied to me about God, about faith, about marriage, about one universal family under God. Everything that I learned from them, even the controversial teachings, made me a better person. I can remember when Father would give us lectures or talks as American Christian pastors. He said, I know some of you cannot believe some of the things I'm saying to you here. And if you cannot understand what I'm sharing with you, he gave us one word of advice: pray about it. He says that I guarantee you, if you pray about it, God will reveal to you the truth. And I'm like, really? Seriously? Is that going to be the answer, just praying about it? But it was the way he said it and the way he talked about it and shared about it. Over a period of time, I became not only a believer, but his greatest proponent. When it comes to the Christian church and the embrace and the acceptance of true parents and their teachings, it would be very difficult to find a Christian minister who is so committed, dedicated, and thoroughly unificationist as I, George Augustus Stallings Jr.
Very clear. As you say, there are questionable reputation to the unification church doctrine in Japanese society too. How do you see the current situation in Japan?
Well, first of all, I don't understand it in the sense that a government agency, in this case, the Japanese government through its Tokyo High Court, believe that it has the right to interfere with religious freedom, with the most fundamental human right to believe, to worship, to share its doctrine with other people without governmental interference or coercion. What I see going on right now in Japan, and we could speak of Korea and other countries that are seeking to stymie, to remove the religious freedom of other peoples, is an effort to remove the most positive influences in a person's life. Their right, their divine right. It's not just a fundamental human right, it's a divine right.
Yes.
Why do I say a divine right? Because we are essentially divine. The human cannot even begin to compare with the spiritual. And that's what I've been trying to teach this profound principle for a number of years, that we are essentially, you and I, even though you're Japanese, I'm African American, I'm American, a Christian minister, you're unificationist, regardless of the labels we wear, the clothing that we wear, how we have presented ourselves as persons of the world, first and foremost, there is something that supersedes all of that, that goes beyond those accidentals in many ways. I mean, not to downplay culture or in any way religion, but we are essentially one and the same. We are the visible and the tangible manifestation of the Spirit of God. So in short, who you and I are should be more focused on our spiritual nature, not our physical nature. The government cannot interfere with our spiritual nature. The government cannot usurp the right to tell us that which we as spirit beings robed in flesh create, namely religion, as a means by which to not only house the Spirit of God in us, but also that will allow us to see ourselves as equal and protecting the rights that we have, the basic fundamental human rights that are deeply rooted in the Spirit, as a means by which we can believe in something greater than ourselves, that we can worship this entity without reprisal. So, in short, what we are experiencing right now is a government who's saying, I don't care if you're basically or fundamentally spirit. We don't like what your religion is doing. That's what the government is saying here in Japan through its court. We will usurp. We will dictate the terms of religion, even though we cannot stop you from personally believing what you want to do or practicing what you want to practice. At the same time, we're trying to dictate how you worship, where you worship, when you worship, what kind of resources you use in your ministry to sustain it. Everything that the Tokyo High Court determined in its decision in March, in its legal decision in March of this year, I think it was March 6th of this year, is to say, we will now tell you when you can worship, where you can worship, what kind of financial support you can give to your church, and that we will either dissolve you or we will make you so ineffective that you cannot succeed as you have done in the past. They know what true parents have done in Japan. They know how successful true parents have been in creating an environment of one family, one universal family under God. They know, the government knows here very well what this church, this movement, this move of God has done for the betterment of this faith community, of this community, its faith communities, as well as giving people a sense that we are brothers and sisters, one universal family under God. So the bottom line here is that the government says, well, we cannot interfere with what you believe personally, but we can slow it down. We can bring it to a screeching halt. We can make decisions that will state very clearly through our actions, we are going to dissolve the unification movement in Japan. We're going to destroy it. We are going to work on dissolving this religious entity, this community of faith, and decide what will be allowed versus what will never again be tolerated. And it's wrong. I don't care what there is no way possible that anyone, whether another religious expression, are they doing this to the Roman Catholics? Are they doing this? Is the Tokyo High Court doing this to the Seventh-day Adventists? Are they doing it to the Episcopalians, to the Anglicans? Are they doing it to the Church of God? I mean, if you do it to one church or a few, you got to do it to everyone. You're picking and choosing.
Yeah. And the grovery.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we have some issues here. Yeah. That is why I've come to Japan to encourage the membership of the Unification Church. You must continue to be steadfast.
We very appreciate that.
Unmovable. Always abounding in the work of God, knowing that your labor done in the name of God and true parents is not in vain. You will win this battle. But you have to, but my brothers and sisters in the Unification Church have to realize, as the scripture said, that the race is not given to the swift, nor the battle to the strong, but to the one who endures until the end. The members of the Unification family have to endure until the end. They have to find their strength in the unity that they hold together. And this is not the first time this has ever happened to a religious entity in the centuries of humanity. It's happened before. And it's important for the Unification movement and its members to study the history of religious persecution. It is part of the fabric of human society, unfortunately, where certain government entities feel threatened by religion. So the unity that will win the victory, or the victory that will be won, will be demonstrated by the unity that we have. We cannot allow the government, the Japanese government, the Korean government, even the American government. America was built on religious freedom, but religious freedom right now is under assault in the United States. Why? Oh yes, it is. It's under assault. And you either, if you belong to a certain if you belong to a certain religion, they protect you. If they question your legitimacy, they will try to destroy you. So America is not a saint now. Don't think for 1 minute that America is utilizing the concept of religious freedom as a means to protect its citizens. No, it's under assault, but not as much as Japan or Korea, but we're seeing it.
Oh, that's the problem.
Yeah.
How do you see the role of kind of interfaith movement? How do you see the role of the interfaith movement?
Well, one thing for sure, and I can say this not only because of human experience, but doing interfaith work around the world, that there is no one religion that has all the answers. There is no one religion that can say, I'm better than you are. I'm better than your church. Each of us has a right, a fundamental right, as we call it, really, that's what religious freedom is, to believe what we want to believe, to worship in a manner that celebrates the presence of God in us, because ultimately religion must become an expression of the God within. It's just not about having membership in a church or saying that I'm more of a prestigious person because I have a high, sophisticated expression of religion. No. It's coming to a place where we can respect each other's religion. I never had that. I've never had that problem in my life. I've been a part of movements that, while I may not have been a part of their actual religious tenets, I have had a very ecumenical relationship. My maternal grandparents were Baptists, staunch Baptists. They were Baptist born and Baptist bred. And when they died, they were Baptist dead, as you could say. But the point is I was always involved, even though I was baptized a Roman Catholic 10 days after birth. My real religious experience, my first experience of God came not from the Roman Catholic Church, but through my grandparents' Baptist church. I participated in Bible studies of other churches during the summer. I've been on committees of other churches, even though I was Roman Catholic. I've always had a very good relationship on the interfaith ecumenical level. I've always been very comfortable with other religions, and to say that I've learned so much from these other religious entities, but I've never, ever learned as much from another religion as I have from the Unification Church. And I don't make any apologies. I don't have any excuses to say why I did this or why I did that. I know what fruit looks like in the lives of someone who believes in God. And Jesus says, you will know them by their fruits. I know true parents because not their talk, but their fruit. And if it works for them, it works for me. I am convinced that ultimately the world will come to understand, to know, and to appreciate true parents. It's just a matter of time.
I believe that God guided each religion entity.
Right. I mean, I could have been a Buddhist. I could have been a Hindu. I could have been a Zoroastrianist. I could have been a Jew. I've often thought about that. I could have also been Japanese. I could have been white. I could have been Native American. I mean, the choices, we have so few choices in life. But the one choice that we do have is decide how we will express in a tangible, concrete way what we believe in, how we choose to worship, how we embrace doctrine, not only of our own, the belief systems of our own religion, but what is there about other religions that we can learn? Because as I said earlier in this interview, there is not one church that has all of the answers. That's what true parents came to realize, that in dealing with Christianity, and for true parents, Christianity became the main pursuit or the object of their calling, because in that Mount Myeodu experience in North Korea, in communist North Korea, Jesus anointed true father and told him, go and save Christianity. He didn't say go and save Hinduism. He didn't say go and save Confucianism. He didn't go and say save Buddhism. No, save Christianity, which I know, even though true father had his ties and affiliation with the Christian church, with Presbyterian church in the early stages, yet his main experience, the majority of his experiences in belief, in religion, came from outside of Christianity, not from within. Yet he heard the voice of Jesus say, I want you to go and save Christianity.
Actually, I was born in the Unification Church, Churchanist parents.
Okay.
But my father's side is very, very long, fourth generation Christian.
Oh,
And then
wow.
my mother's side is the seventh generation Shintoism.
Shintoism, see there?
The kind of circumstances.
Right, and how did they get along, having different belief systems?
True friends.
That's the whole concept. The religion, first of all, I know a lot of people do not believe this or have come to understand it or penetrated the meaning of what I'm about to say. And even though we may see it differently or cannot embrace it like true father would say, if you can't embrace it, pray about it. God, our heavenly parent, never in any circumstance or in any situation created religion. Religion is man-made.
Yes, yes.
In every instance, whether it's Judaism, Hinduism, Buddhism, Shintoism, whether it's, however you want to describe it, religion in and of itself was not created by God. Man created religion as a pathway back to God because of what true parents have taught us in the Bible, the human fall. We needed a guide. We needed a compass. That's what religion is supposed to be. It's not supposed to be my religion is better than yours. It's supposed to be we as individuals need to come together to create an institutional expression of how do we come as children of God, as one universal family under God, and find our way back to the Garden of Eden. Find our way back to be true children of God. It's not meant to create division. And we have seen that with religion, something that is supposed to be of God, something that is supposed to challenge us to look within and to see who we are as children of God, living for the sake of others. It's not meant to have you go your way and I go my way, and in the process create division and turmoil and what I would describe as making a foolery or mockery out of religion. We make a mockery out of religion when we allow it to separate and divide us. And when we look at our world today and the division that exists, it comes from religion. It comes out of religion. Yes. Now, what do you have to say about that? Let's be for, and what true parents we're trying to do is to put us back on the right path to God. To remind us that if religion is true, it will not separate or divide. It will unify and heal a broken world.
Right, boy. I'm kind of touched.
Oh, thank you. What touches me more than anything else in life is to know that if God is with us, if God be for us, who can separate us from one another? Who can conquer us? The word says, greater is God who is within us than the powers of darkness and evil that are in our world. You and I possess the power. Why? Because God has given it to us. We are the children of God. We are the visible, the tangible presence of God on earth. We have the power to be God's representatives. And unfortunately, we have gotten the expression in English, because we have gotten so wrapped up, tied up, and tangled up in our own world, in our own existence, in our own desire to be what we want to be, and rather be becoming the children of God, that we've lost our way. And what true parents attempted to do in every phase and moment of their lives was to bring us back to center, to say we are God's property. We belong to God, not to ourselves. Ultimately, you and I belong to God, and we're God's agents.
Yes, this could be broader question, but I want to ask, how do you define freedom of religion?
Yeah, well, freedom of religion is that, as we said earlier, is that basic fundamental human right to choose, to make choices for ourselves, to choose what is our meaning of God in our lives, and to express, to celebrate that. Religious freedom means that we have a basic God-given right to worship God in any manner we see as appropriate. To everybody, without exception. None of us can see ourselves as superior when it comes to what religion we express, because the whole beauty of religious fundamentalism, or religious freedom, is that we are not bound by any restrictions, any manacles or chains that means that I have to do it your way and not the way I feel God is calling me to do it. Religious freedom means that I should be able to do so without the coercion of government. Religious freedom means that I do not have to be influenced by governmental intrusion that does not allow me that choice while respecting others' religion. See, and the point that can be confusing at times, a mistake that some people will make is that while I have religious freedom, you do not. You cannot choose what you want to embrace as your expression of religious freedom because I have made the better choice. Not true.
So seeing this situation in Japan and Korea, and and you said the United States.
Yes.
So
to a lesser degree.
Why is religious freedom is so essential in our society?
It is so essential in our society because religion in and of itself is an articulation or an expression of our relationship to the Creator, our Heavenly Parent. See, one has to come to realize and to appreciate that when it comes to the freedom of religion, we're not just talking about a set of belief systems or saying that I can choose but you cannot, that is just following the dictates of a religious way of life. What we have to understand about religion and that freedom that comes from religion is that we are talking about not rules and regulations. We're talking about a relationship. That is more important than anything else. And that is what concerns me right now with the assault on religious freedom in Japan. The government is saying to me that it wants to interfere with my relationship with God. I cannot allow them to have that right.
No.
They don't have that prerequisite that they can just step in and decide what my relationship with God is, because the government doesn't even understand that that religion has to be based on relationship. There's no need for you or for me to be involved in a religion if it's not about a relationship. Religion is supposed to help me to grow stronger in my relationship vertically with God, my Heavenly Parent, and also with my brothers and sisters on the horizontal level.
Yes, yes.
I don't need to belong to any religion if I can't grow in it. That's why true parents mean the world to me, because it is through them that my own religious convictions have grown, have expanded, have improved. I don't need another religion to contribute to or to be in attendance or to represent. No, I belong to a religion as you belong to religion, and somewhere along the line we may both belong to the same religion, so that we can grow together in relationship to the one who breathed us into existence in our mother's womb, to the one in whom we live, move, and have our being. That's why religion is important. That's why religion must have meaning. That's why religion is so important in our lives. There are a lot of people who are not religious. You got to understand that.
Yes, yes.
But I also think that they're miserable too. I think they're lacking something, and that they really have yet to come to discover that they're God's agent. And if they open up their hearts and let God come in, if we can allow religion to unite us rather than divide us, to uplift us rather than tear us down, we're going to be able to accomplish the kingdom of heaven right here on earth.
Thank you. So finally, what guidance would you give on how can religion play a positive role in our society, and how can coexist?
Religion can play a very positive role in our society when we come to a point where we realize that life is not just about you, and life is not simply just about me. It's about all of us. It's about all of us. And Martin Luther King Jr., the great civil rights leader, said it so beautifully, that when one of us suffers, we all suffer. Indirect. When one of us suffers directly, we all suffer indirectly. We are all impacted we are all impacted in regards to life. Somewhere along the line, we're going to realize that if we're to make this world a better place, it has to start with a true sense of our own identity as children of God, as those who have been called, created to be the visible and tangible manifestation of God, and that we all desire to end up in the same place in the kingdom of heaven. You know, they have this movie out now in the States, and eventually will come to the world, on Michael Jackson. It was just released. Michael Jackson was just released on Friday.
Yeah.
And the book and his statement, the song, I'm starting with the man in the mirror.
Yeah.
And I'm asking him to change his ways. And if you want to make the world a better place, take a look at yourself and make that change. And believe it or not, religion is the means by which we can embrace the truest teachings of our faith and build a united world, a united kingdom. So that's how religion can play a role. That's how our interfaith understanding of working together to create harmony, unity, oneness, living for the sake of others. I've used that expression of true parents so many times. I thought I came up with it. I thought I dreamt it. Living for the sake of others. A world of true and lasting peace. If you want a world of true and lasting peace, that's the hope of all ages. True parents say the hope of all ages is a true, lasting world of peace. So my goal is to commit myself more and more each day to the divine principles that have made me a better person. I want everyone to be better. But if some desire not to be better, not only will I go it alone, but I will continue to follow those who have shown me the way.
Very cool. Final words? Do you want to say something to Japanese members?
I would say to my Japanese brothers and sisters, be encouraged no matter what is taking place right now within your relationship to God through your religious convictions and through your devotion, commitment, and dedication to the providential work of true parents. They have not failed us in the past. They are not failing us in the present moment, even with True Mother in a detention center in Seoul, Korea for now a half of a year. They will not desert us because they are true blue. They have sacrificed everything and committed their lives to God and to a better world. What we must do is never lose sight of what must still be accomplished by being devoted, committed, and anchored in the teachings of true parents, which are built upon the foundation of the teachings of God. I know that it's painful when you see the disillusionment of your church, my church, our church. Your work is not in vain. It will not fail. Realize that we have seen in history moments like this. And one movement in particular, the civil rights movement in the United States of America. Who would have ever thought that Black people would be free today? Who ever thought that they could conquer the heinous crime of slavery, discrimination, prejudice? But look now, it's because a people did not give up, even in the midst of seeming difficulties. In defeat, they persevered. Through resistance, perseverance, persistence, and dedication and determination, we have seen victory after victory being won, and powers and principalities being defeated. There are powers and principalities of darkness right here in Japan, in Korea, in the United States of America that are seeking to destroy the foundation of God in establishing the kingdom of heaven. Our task is to do whatever is necessary to firmly establish that kingdom of God right here on earth. This is only a challenge. It's, as we say in America, this is only a test. It's not the end. Tough times don't last, but tough people do. That's what the evangelist, the American evangelist, Robert Schuller said. Tough times don't last, but tough people do. Are you going to be tough in the midst of all of this, or are you going to succumb to the powers of darkness? I think you're going to be strong. I think that you are going to be determined through your resistance not to allow the high courts, the Supreme Court, the government, or anyone else to have the final word. You know who has the final word? God, true parents, and each of us. We have the final word. We will take ownership and control over our own destiny and will not allow our power to be, our God-given power, to be usurped. So stand firm, my brothers and sisters. Don't throw in the towel. The fight has only just begun. And I want all of us, when everything is said and done, to say hallelujah, to stand up victorious, and to realize that God has called you and me for such a time as this. God bless you.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
This is the end of
The end of this one.
That was
Thank you.
full of spirit and very engaging.